Officer Alex Carter was used to quiet nights. The neighborhoods he patrolled rarely caused trouble. And on most shifts, the biggest issue was a stray dog or a misplaced garbage bin. But tonight felt different. The air was heavier, the stillness unsettling. As Alex cruised along the edge of the park, his radio crackled faintly in the background. He turned down the volume and let the cool night air seep in through the open window. Just as he prepared to call it another uneventful shift, a sound cut through the silence, a faint cry. Alex pulled over and stepped out of the car, his boots crunching softly against the gravel path. He scanned the area, his flashlight cutting through the shadows cast by the trees. The sound grew louder, a desperate, high-pitched wail that tugged at his heart. He followed it to a small clearing near a park bench, his stomach twisting as the beam of his flashlight fell on a large trash can. With trembling hands, Alex lifted the lid. Nestled among crumpled papers and discarded wrappers was a tiny baby, no older than a few months. The infant's face was scrunched in distress, tears streaming down his soft, dark cheeks. A thin, tattered blanket was the only thing shielding him from the chill of the night. "Oh my God," Alex whispered, his voice cracking. His heart hammered in his chest as he gently scooped the baby up. The infant's cries quieted, his tiny fists grasping at Alex's uniform. "It's okay, little one. I got you now." Alex fumbled for his radio, his voice shaking as he called for backup and an ambulance. "This is Officer Carter. I found an abandoned infant in Evergreen Park, requesting immediate medical assistance." As he waited, Alex cradled the baby close to his chest, his mind racing. Who could have left such a helpless child here? He looked down at the infant, who had fallen into an exhausted sleep against his shoulder. A faint crescent-shaped birthmark peeked out from beneath the blanket on the baby's shoulder. Catching Alex's eye, "You're safe now," Alex murmured, his voice thick with emotion. "I promise." The sound of sirens broke the stillness, and Alex turned to see an ambulance pulling up beside his squad car. Paramedics rushed over, their faces a mix of concern and professionalism. Reluctantly, Alex handed the baby over to their care, his arms feeling strangely empty without the child's weight. As the ambulance sped away, Alex stood alone in the park, his mind a whirlwind of questions. He'd seen a lot during his years as an officer, but nothing had ever shaken him like this. He didn't know who this baby was or where he'd come from. But one thing was certain, Alex couldn't walk away from this. The hospital waiting room was stark and sterile, the fluorescent lights casting a harsh glow. Alex paced back and forth, unable to sit still. He hadn't planned to follow the ambulance here, but something about the baby had rooted itself deep within him. He needed to know the child was okay. A nurse approached, her kind face softening as she saw Alex's anxious expression. "Officer Carter?" "Yes," Alex said quickly, stepping forward. "How is he?" "The baby is stable," the nurse said. "He's malnourished and has a mild case of hypothermia, but he's going to be okay." Relief flooded Alex's chest, and he let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "Thank you." The nurse hesitated before continuing. "Social services has been notified. Once he's cleared by the doctors, he'll be placed in temporary foster care." Alex's stomach clenched. The thought of the baby, Noah, he decided, the name coming to him unbidden, being passed from home to home, unsettled him. He thought of his own childhood, growing up in the foster system before being adopted by a loving family. He'd been lucky, but not everyone was. What if Alex began, his voice trailing off? He took a deep breath, steadying himself. What if I fostered him, just until they find something more permanent? The nurse's eyebrows rose in surprise. "That's a big decision." "Officer Carter, are you sure?" Alex nodded, the determination in his chest growing stronger. "I'm sure." The paperwork was endless. Alex spent hours at the police station filling out forms, undergoing background checks, and answering questions from social workers. Megan Walsh, his partner on the force, raised an eyebrow when she found him hunched over a stack of documents in the break room. "What's all this?" she asked, plopping into the seat across from him. "I'm fostering the baby I found," Alex said without looking up. Megan's eyes widened. You? Alex Carter, bachelor extraordinaire? Taking care of a baby? Alex shot her a look, but couldn't help the small smile tugging at his lips. I'm serious. Megan, he needs someone. Megan studied him for a moment before nodding. Well, if anyone can do it, it's you. Just don't call me for diaper duty. The next few days were a whirlwind. Alex transformed his small apartment, converting the spare bedroom into a nursery. He bought a crib, diapers, bottles, and more baby gear than he knew what to do with. By the time Noah was released from the hospital, Alex was as ready as he'd ever be. Bringing Noah home for the first time was surreal. The once quiet apartment now buzzed with the sounds of a newborn, tiny cries, coos, and the occasional giggle. Alex's days became a blur of feedings, diaper changes, and sleepless nights. It was exhausting, overwhelming, and utterly worth it. One night, as Alex rocked Noah to sleep, he gazed down at the baby's peaceful face. You deserve a chance at a good life. Little guy, he whispered. I'll do everything I can to make sure you get it. Sophia Bennett sat at her grand piano, her fingers hovering above the ivory keys. The sprawling room was filled with sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. But it did little to brighten her mood. Music had always been her refuge, a place where she could lose herself and forget the weight of the world. But today, the keys felt heavy, the melodies hollow. She stared at a framed photo perched on the piano, a younger version of herself, holding a tiny bundle wrapped in a hospital blanket. The baby in her arms had soft curls and the faintest hint of a crescent-shaped birthmark on his shoulder. Her heart ached as she traced the outline of the photo with her fingers. Sophia had thought of her son every day since the moment she let him go. At the time, it had felt like the only choice. Her career as a classical pianist was on the brink of international success, and her management team had made it clear a child would ruin everything. She had been young, scared, and alone, unable to imagine balancing motherhood and her demanding career. But the regret never faded. Every triumph on stage felt hollow. Every applause a reminder of the void in her heart. She had tried to move on, throwing herself into her music. But the longing for her son persisted. Over the years, she had hired private investigators, scoured adoption records, and even visited orphanages in secret, hoping to find him. And now, after years of searching, she was closer than ever. A private investigator had recently uncovered a missing persons report filed around the time of her son's birth. The details matched what she knew: the baby's age, the location, and the distinctive birthmark on his shoulder. Could it be him? Could her son still be out there? Sophia leaned her forehead against the piano, her breath coming in shaky gasps. Please, she whispered, a silent prayer to no one in particular. Let me find him. Back at Alex's apartment, life was anything but quiet. Noah had begun to grow more curious about the world around him, his tiny hands reaching for everything in sight. Alex quickly learned that nothing was safe. Remote controls, coffee mugs, even his police badge had all fallen victim to Noah's tiny, inquisitive grip. Megan stopped by one evening with a bag of takeout and a box of toys. Thought you could use some reinforcements, she said, setting the bags on the kitchen counter. You're a lifesaver, Alex said, balancing Noah on one hip while trying to clear the table. Megan smirked. I'm not here out of charity. I just need to see for myself if you've actually survived 2 months of this. Alex laughed, setting Noah in his high chair. Barely, he admitted, but it's worth it. As they ate, Megan watched Alex feed Noah mashed sweet potatoes, his movements surprisingly natural for someone who had never handled a baby before. You're good at this, she said, her tone more serious. Alex shrugged, a small smile tugging at his lips. I had good parents. They taught me what love looks like. Megan nodded, her expression softening. So, what's next? You thinking about adopting him? Alex hesitated, the question lingering in the air. I want to, he said finally. But it's complicated. Social services is still figuring out his case. There's so much I don't know about his past. As if sensing the weight of the conversation, Noah babbled, his tiny hands smacking the high chair tray. Alex chuckled and leaned in to kiss the top of the baby's head. Whatever happens, I'm not letting him go without a fight. A few weeks later, Alex received an unexpected call at the precinct. A fellow officer handed him a file. His brow furrowed. This came in as part of an old missing persons case. Thought it might interest you. Alex opened the file and froze. The report detailed the disappearance of an infant boy, born to a woman named Sophia Bennett. The description matched Noah perfectly, right down to the crescent-shaped birthmark. His heart pounded as he read further. Sophia Bennett. The name was vaguely familiar. He recalled seeing it on concert posters around the city, her face radiant as she posed by a grand piano. She was a world-famous pianist, adored by millions, and she was Noah's biological mother. Alex leaned back in his chair, the file trembling in his hands. How could someone like her abandon a child? And why was her son left in a park trash can? The questions swirled in his mind, each more unsettling than the last. He looked at the photo of Noah pinned to his desk, the boy's wide smile lighting up the room. Whatever the circumstances of his past, Alex knew one thing for certain. He couldn't let this discovery disrupt the life they had built together. Sophia was in the middle of rehearsing for a major concert when her phone buzzed. She ignored it at first, focusing on the notes in front of her. But when it buzzed again, she sighed and reached for it. "Hello," she answered, slightly annoyed. "Ms. Bennett, this is Officer Alex Carter. I believe I have information about your son." Sophia's heart stopped. The phone nearly slipped from her fingers. "My son," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Yes," Alex said. "I think I've found him. His name is Noah." Sophia clutched the phone tightly, tears streaming down her face. Is he okay?" "He's more than okay," Alex said. "He's incredible, but we need to talk about how to handle this. It's complicated." They agreed to meet at a quiet coffee shop the next day. As Sophia ended the call, she sat in stunned silence. After years of searching, she was finally going to see her son again. The next morning, Alex arrived at the coffee shop with Noah in tow. Sophia was already seated, her hands trembling as she clutched a steaming mug. When she saw them, she stood abruptly, her eyes filling with tears. "Is that," she began, her voice breaking. "This is Noah," Alex said, his tone cautious. He set the toddler down, and Noah clung to his leg, eyeing Sophia warily. Sophia knelt, her gaze softening as she took in the boy's features. "Hi, Noah," she said gently. I'm Sophia." Noah didn't respond, hiding behind Alex's leg. Sophia's smile faltered, but she didn't push. Instead, she stood and addressed Alex. "Thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion, "for taking care of him, for giving him what I couldn't." Alex nodded, his protective instincts flaring. "He's my son," he said firmly, "no matter what happens. That doesn't change." Sophia's eyes met his, a silent understanding passing between them. "I just want to get to know him," she said. "If that's okay." Alex hesitated, then nodded. "We'll take it slow." In the weeks following their tense first meeting, Sophia made every effort to get to know Noah without overwhelming him. She followed Alex's lead, respecting the toddler's pace and giving him space to adjust. At first, Noah remained wary, staying close to Alex whenever Sophia was around. But slowly, cracks began to form in his wall of caution. One afternoon, Sophia arrived at Alex's apartment with a carefully wrapped gift. Noah eyed her curiously from the safety of the living room floor, where he was surrounded by a small fortress of blocks. "I brought you something, Noah," Sophia said, crouching down to his level. She placed the package gently on the carpet and backed away, allowing him the freedom to approach on his own terms. Noah glanced up at Alex, who nodded encouragingly. Tentatively, the boy crawled over to the package and tore away the bright paper. Inside was a small, colorful xylophone. Noah's eyes widened as he picked up the mallet and tapped one of the keys, producing a clear, cheerful note. Sophia smiled softly. "Do you like music?" "No?" she asked, her voice gentle. Noah nodded, his curiosity outweighing his shyness. "It's pretty," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Sophia's heart swelled at his response. I think so too, she said. Would you like me to teach you a song sometime? Noah looked to Alex, who gave him a reassuring smile. Okay, the boy said quietly. Over time, music became the bridge that connected Sophia and Noah. She brought simple instruments to their visits, a tambourine, a small keyboard, even a recorder, and taught him basic melodies. Noah's initial wariness began to fade as he discovered the joy of creating sounds, his little hands eagerly experimenting with each new instrument. One evening, Alex stood in the doorway of the living room, watching as Sophia guided Noah through a simple tune on the keyboard. The boy's face lit up with delight when he got it right, his fingers pressing the keys with newfound confidence. Alex couldn't help but smile at the sight. You're a natural, Noah, Sophia said, her voice filled with pride. You've got music in your soul. Noah giggled, glancing up at Alex. Did you hear that, Dad? I'm a natural. Alex chuckled and ruffled his son's hair. I did. Buddy, you're amazing. As Sophia packed up her instruments later that night, she hesitated before speaking. Thank you for letting me be part of his life, she said, her voice soft. I know it hasn't been easy. Alex nodded, his expression thoughtful. It's not about what's easy. It's about what's right for Noah. Sophia met his gaze, gratitude shining in her eyes. You're a good father, Alex. He's lucky to have you. Alex smiled, the tension between them easing slightly. And I think he's lucky to have you too. As the months passed, Noah's bond with Sophia grew stronger. He began to look forward to her visits, often asking Alex when Mommy Sophia would come over. The name had come naturally to Noah one day, and although it took Alex by surprise, he didn't discourage it. If anything, it was a sign that Noah was beginning to feel safe in this new, unconventional family. Sophia, for her part, cherished every moment with Noah. She brought him to her rehearsals, letting him sit backstage and watch as she played. The other musicians adored him, often handing him small percussion instruments to keep him entertained. Noah loved being in the vibrant, musical environment, and Sophia loved sharing her world with him. One day, after a particularly lively rehearsal, Noah looked up at Sophia with wide eyes. Can I play on stage one day? Sophia knelt down, her hands resting on his small shoulders. You can do anything you want, Noah, she said, and I'll be there to cheer you on. While Noah's relationship with Sophia flourished, his growing awareness of his unique family situation began to raise questions. One evening, as Alex was tucking him into bed, Noah looked up at his father with a thoughtful expression. Dad, he began hesitantly. Why do I have two moms? Alex's heart clenched at the innocence in Noah's voice. Sitting on the edge of the bed, he took a deep breath. Well, buddy, he said carefully, Sophia is your birth mom. That means she's the one who brought you into the world. But she couldn't take care of you when you were a baby. So I became your dad. Noah frowned, his small brow furrowing. Did she not want me? Alex's chest ached at the question. It's not that, Noah. Sophia loved you very much, but she was scared and didn't know what to do. That's why she's here now, because she wants to be part of your life. Noah seemed to mull this over, his fingers fiddling with the edge of his blanket. Do you still love me, even with Sophia here? Alex leaned down, wrapping his arms around his son. I will always love you. Noah, you're my son, and nothing will ever change that. Noah hugged him tightly, his small arms clinging to Alex's neck. I love you too, Dad. As time went on, Alex and Sophia learned to work together seamlessly, putting Noah's happiness above all else. They coordinated schedules, celebrated milestones together, and supported each other through the challenges of parenting. Their partnership wasn't without its moments of tension, but the shared love for Noah kept them united. One sunny afternoon, they threw a small birthday party for Noah in Alex's backyard. Friends, neighbors, and even some of Sophia's musician colleagues attended, filling the yard with laughter and music. Noah beamed as he blew out the candles on his space-themed cake. His wish a secret he kept to himself. Later that evening, as the party wound down, Noah sat between Alex and Sophia on the porch steps, his head resting against Alex's arm. "This was the best birthday ever," he said, his voice sleepy but content. Alex kissed the top of his son's head. "I'm glad, buddy." Sophia smiled, her eyes misty. "You deserve all the happiness in the world." Noah, as the three of them sat together, watching the stars blink into the night sky, Alex felt a profound sense of peace. Their journey had been far from easy, but it had brought them to this moment of family, imperfect yet whole. Months after Noah's birthday, Alex and Sophia continued to build a balance between their lives. Though their paths were different, their dedication to Noah's happiness formed a common ground. Noah, now fully comfortable with his two parents, began exploring new aspects of his identity. One evening, Sophia invited Alex and Noah to a private recital at a small concert hall where she was debuting a new piece. Noah's excitement was palpable as he watched Sophia take the stage. Dressed in an elegant gown, her hands floated over the piano keys, producing a melody that seemed to enchant everyone in the room. Midway through the performance, Noah leaned over to Alex. "Can I play like that one day, Dad?" Alex smiled, ruffling his son's hair. "If you work hard and practice, there's nothing you can't do." After the recital, Noah darted backstage to greet Sophia. "Mommy Sophia, that was amazing," he exclaimed, his small arms wrapping around her waist. Sophia knelt to hug him, her heart swelling with pride. "Thank you, sweetheart. One day, I want to play something you've written." Noah's eyes sparkled. "You mean it?" "Absolutely," Sophia said, her voice firm with belief. "You have music inside you, just like me." Alex watched the exchange from a distance, his heart filled with mixed emotions, pride for Noah and gratitude that Sophia had truly become part of his life. One day, during a quiet afternoon at Sophia's home, Noah stumbled upon a photo album on her bookshelf. Curious, he flipped through the pages, finding old pictures of Sophia as a young girl, performing on stage and posing with her family. One picture caught his eye, a group photo of Sophia's parents and siblings, all smiling warmly at the camera. "Who are they?" Noah asked, holding the album up to Sophia. Sophia's expression softened as she sat beside him. "That's my family, your grandparents and aunts and uncles." Noah's brow furrowed. "Why haven't I met them?" Sophia hesitated. "It's complicated. They live far away, and things have been a little strained between us. But maybe we can change that." The idea of meeting more family excited Noah, and it also made Sophia realize how much of her heritage she wanted to share with him. Over the next few weeks, she introduced Noah to her parents through video calls, slowly mending the rift that had formed when she'd given him up. During one call, Noah proudly showed them the xylophone Sophia had given him. "I'm learning music, just like Mommy Sophia," he said, his grin wide. Sophia's mother, her eyes shining with emotion, replied, "You're already a star. My little one, we can't wait to meet you in person." As life settled into a new rhythm, Alex and Sophia faced an unexpected challenge. A tabloid article surfaced, sensationalizing Sophia's past decision to give up Noah. It included invasive details about Noah's adoption and painted both Alex and Sophia in a harsh light. The sudden media frenzy was overwhelming. Paparazzi swarmed Sophia's home, and reporters showed up at Noah's school, forcing Alex to pull him out temporarily. Sophia was devastated, her past mistakes laid bare for public scrutiny. "I'm so sorry," Sophia said during an emergency meeting with Alex. "I never wanted this to happen. It's not your fault." Alex said, his voice steady despite his frustration. "But we need to focus on protecting Noah." Together, they devised a plan to shield Noah from the chaos. Alex worked with his precinct to increase security around their homes, while Sophia issued a public statement asking for privacy. "Family comes first," Sophia said during a press conference. "My son's happiness and safety are my top priorities, and I ask that you respect that." The situation tested their resilience, but it also strengthened their bond. Through the ordeal, Noah saw the unwavering support of both his parents, which reassured him despite the frightening attention. Months later, Noah stood on stage at his school's talent show, his small fingers poised over the keys of a keyboard. The room was filled with parents, teachers, and classmates, but his eyes focused on the two people in the front row, Alex and Sophia. "You got this, buddy," Alex had told him backstage. "Play from your heart." As Noah began to play a simple melody Sophia had taught him, the audience grew silent. The notes flowed smoothly, each one resonating with emotion. By the time he finished, the room erupted in applause. Sophia wiped away tears as she clapped. Alex beamed, his pride almost tangible. When Noah ran off stage, he was met with hugs from both of them. "I did it!" Noah exclaimed, his face glowing with joy. "You did more than that," Sophia said, her voice trembling with emotion. "You shined." As the years passed, Noah grew into a confident and talented young man, his life enriched by the love and support of both his parents. Alex and Sophia, though not a traditional family, formed a bond that transcended labels. They celebrated holidays together, attended all of Noah's milestones, and remained united in their love for him. On the evening of Noah's high school graduation, the three of them stood together for a photo. Alex held one side of Noah's diploma. Sophia held the other, and Noah stood proudly in the middle. "This is just the beginning," Alex said, his voice filled with pride. Sophia nodded, her eyes misty. "We've come so far." As the photographer snapped the picture, Noah looked between his parents, his heart full. "I'm lucky," he said softly. Alex put an arm around him. "We're the lucky ones." Years later, Noah made his debut as a composer, premiering a piece inspired by his unconventional journey. The performance was held at the same opera house where Sophia had once graced the stage, and Alex sat in the audience, his chest swelling with pride. As the final notes faded and the applause thundered, Noah took a bow, his gaze finding Alex and Sophia in the crowd. They stood side by side, clapping with all their hearts, a testament to the family they had built through love, perseverance, and forgiveness. In that moment, Noah knew he was exactly where he was meant to be.